Ruth Dyson. Honourable Ruth Dyson.
I'm sorry that I interrupted the member in his flow. It was quite an interesting speech, but the bell had rung, so if I wanted to get a call, I had to stand up and take it. Mr Chairman, I'm pleased to be contributing in the debate related to the Canterbury earthquake recovery, and I just want to note that a number of my colleagues have been talking about the third termitis of this government, about how arrogant they have become, how out of touch they are, and how they're ignoring the big issues for New Zealand, and I don't think anybody personifies that more than the Minister for Canterbury Earthquake Recovery, and it is a bit of a steep competition in the Cabinet, I know. But Minister Brownlee has generated so much spin in Canterbury about the pace of the recovery and the vision for the future that actually people are dizzy. Nobody can see anything happening. That's his responsibility. It's all been good private sector investment and risk, but he takes the credit for it. Somebody said the other day, John Key comes down to open an envelope, and somebody else said, but he closes the post office on the way out, which is exactly how it feels to us. Mr Chairman, you cannot, of course, ignore the fact that we had a series of horrific earthquakes and they caused massive amounts of damage. But insurance money, taxpayers and ratepayers' investment into the rebuild does not make an economic recovery. And that's what John Key and the National Party promised people of New Zealand. They promised an economic recovery, they promised a budget surplus, not just in passing, but throughout the entire 2011 election campaign, and then again throughout the entire 2014 election campaign, that this year, 2015, would be the year of the budget surplus, and that is called another broken promise. Add it to the big long list, actually, a big long list of broken promises. Now the Prime Minister says, oh, that's just an artificial target. Well, actually, during the 2011 campaign and the 2014 campaign, when some members opposite stood on platforms promising to deliver this, he said it was going to be a budget surplus, not an artificial target. This time last year, the surplus was going to be $500 million. Right. This year's surplus, budget next month. Now, it's going to be $500 million deficit. Where do those members stand? Where's their integrity, their personal credibility and their basic honesty with their constituents? How are they going to front up to those people who they said one thing to and now are delivering another? I guess there'll be another round of spin and excuses, but people will see through it. They're not as stupid as John Key and the National Party wants to make out. The National Party have borrowed $1 million an hour since they became the government. $1 million an hour. They are spending $10 million a day in interest payments on their borrowing. How is this good financial management? We have more gross debt as a percentage of the economy than any New Zealand government since the 1930s. Bill the borrower is exactly the hashtag that he deserves. Yes, we've had a recession. Yes, we've had a global financial crisis. And yes, we've had a series of earthquakes. But, Mr Chairman, we've also had some disgraceful wastes of taxpayers' money. It's not government money. It's not their generosity that allows them to spend it on things that they determine. It's taxpayers' money. It's our money that we contribute for the public good. They gave $5 billion tax cuts for the wealthiest 10% of New Zealanders. Sorry, not the wealthiest. The highest income earners who declare that for the purposes of paying tax, because that's different than the wealthiest. The top 10% of income earners in New Zealand got $5 billion worth of tax cuts in the same budget that Bill English cut home support for older New Zealanders. What's the priorities of this government? Through their asset sales program, we've lost nearly $1 billion already in lost dividends, and that loss is rising more every day. And we've had corporate bailouts and handouts. Rio Tinto no guarantee that they'll stay going. And most recently, Sky City. Those corporate bailouts and handouts run into billions of dollars. They've borrowed more than any other government, and they can't save
your time is finished, the Honourable Ruth Dyson. I call Stuart Nash.